Hey guys, welcome back to Trekyards. I'm Captain Foley.
I am Commander Cockings.
And today we are looking at something that we've all been waiting for. A new look at the Discovery from Star Trek Discovery. We got a quick sneak peek of it in the trailer, the new trailer that was released at San Diego Comic-Con.
Yes.
And I'm excited.
Now, it is worth saying that what's great about this ship and the fact that we've got the internet is that as they keep iterating, as we keep seeing things change, we are able to talk about it and see the differences and learn new things. We had the reveal last year. We had little bits and bobs on the posters, being seen far in the distance, and oh no, there's there's got cuts, but not everyone saw it. And then you got the top poster, which changed the look of the ship, the colours, and then you had the poster just before San Diego Comic-Con, and boom, that's almost the final. And they had concept art revealed at the event, which people got to see, and finally, as you said, a shot of the final in the trailer, going at its warp speed. And that's our first image. We've been thinking, what does the back look like since it got changed. So we'll start here, as it's the actual final. The other ones are still concept images, but we believe are, for the most part, final. Especially considering the images we've seen. So what do you think about the back of this ship, Stuart?
Well, the colors have changed somewhat. I mean, those probably changed from blue to red, but they were initially blue in the original trailer. We saw it.
I forgot all about that. Yeah.
Yeah. So impulse engines, probably, very likely. That center part is probably a shuttle bay door of some sort, like a large shuttle bay door. Again, I like the coloring on this. It's not the copper. It just could be the lighting. It's kind of a silvery color, and I like that a lot. Either way, the copper or the silver, I'm happy with.
Yeah, it's like an in-between, whereby in certain scenes it can feel more like JJ-verse, more like Prime, or more like it's got that flexibility that isn't a cream white, it isn't a big yellow. It's an in-between. Now, I will say that it being was blue, wow, words, linked to the NX-01 era. It being red links to TOS sort of, because in some iterations of the ship it has red impulse. And I believe in the Interior Dark Enterprise it uses red. Now, I will say it uses blue in some parts of the episode, but the CG model is default red, which is confusing, and I got called out on that. But I just loaded the model as is. Like, that's the one that's used in the show. This is default scene file. It's red.
Yeah.
So, a bit confusing, but hey, obviously, post that, all those implementations are red. So, but Stuart, we got concept art. So, the first picture... And this is from December 22nd, 2016. At this point, is it worth disclaiming that we had some prior knowledge? Just briefly to the audience.
Yeah, probably. They've kind of known that all along, though. We've kind of seen the progression of this since the beginning.
Yes.
Got some hints and some teases, so...
Yeah, we were let in confidence to a couple of images along the line, which obviously were not shared, were not leaked, so we did our job by not sharing, but we even said some things along the way, what we thought potentially added in, changed, whatever. Hey, things were said. And this is certainly not the same concept art we saw, so this is different, this is further along. It certainly reflects the newer one more. We know the engines were quite a struggle in what to change, but this is a great view in terms of the, what the ship is, and obviously we saw almost all the new details in the previous revealed image. But talk about what you think about this version, Stuart, and a couple of little things that you might notice or not notice, and is it all starting to come together for you if this is indeed the final concept, as it were?
Yeah, 90% of this I like. There's a small percent that I don't like, and I'll get into that when we get into one of the further pictures, because it's not really prevalent here. But one of the first things I noticed is that the ball in the center is very much not reminiscent of a Daedalus class anymore. They've kind of got more of a stepped approach, and the ribbing on it as well, which is kind of a shame, because I kind of like the Daedalus look and the Daedalus ball tie-in almost. This is quite a step away from that. I do like the texturing. I do like the Aztecing. I do like the panel lines. The USS Discovery up front like that I kind of like, as opposed to back farther near the bridge area. So I'm all on board with that, although I don't see any registry number on the front, on the top of this, which is very odd.
That's a hefty thing to remove.
Yes. So overall I'm impressed. I like it. And again, I don't mind the color being copper. I don't mind it being silver. I don't care either way. They both look good, and it probably looks different in different lighting, obviously. So I'm happy with this.
So what people, and I know we'll talk about this in a future comparison video we're going to do, but say it now as well for everyone who's interested. When we were asked, what we thought of the further sketches we saw, my sort of bog standard response to those who I could trust with a bit more information than, can't say anything, like whatever. I would say, it's 90% the same shape. That's not changed, which we didn't think it was going to change, but it's been converted to its more unique feel. The previous version, which we did a full episode on, you can directly link pieces to. You can say, this evolved from this evolved from this is a take on from that. This one, however, is much more its own unique feel, which is good and bad. It's good that it says this era is more of its own thing. Bad being it doesn't link to anything in Trek history specifically. So it's out of canon, but it's more its own canon, and having its own style is good. And just to jump back to that bridge, a window. It has a window, which is pretty darn disappointing given how not good a thing that is to have. Or it could be a front piece just like the cage had, but that would be a very odd reference to do. So kind of disappointed to see a bridge, but again, interesting structural elements. That looks very basic, very old in a sense. It looks even older than Shinzao, but I think it's a newer ship. And one little thing I did notice, it has a docking port at the back, just behind the bridge. A classic docking port, which is obviously on the XO1. It's on the refit. A little docking port, which does give a sense of scale, and you can get a real sense of that is the size of the bridge. But the bridge module, it's even got windows in the bridge, which is interesting. As inside windows. So what else do you see, Stuart? And again, we'll do a full comparison of this ship later, compare it to the previous version, but obviously we're looking at this concept art now. What else do you see?
From the top view, not much that's new that I haven't already mentioned. I mean, if you go to the next picture and you got the bottom view, I love there you got the registry number on the side, very very TOS style, like on the Constitution class. You also have the Constitution class eyebrows, little triangle pieces,
which are on the top as well.
Oh, you mean like straight out the sides then? Okay, yeah, it's not the same angle as the bottom ones, and they're also different color. They're white.
Just interesting though.
It is. But going back to the bottom view, I love again, there you got more of the Daedalus style ball in the middle, which I like. I like that visual tie-in with the older ship that's never really been canon, but never really been seen on screen, but everyone knows about. The changes to the deflector they made, we've talked about this before. I love that. I love the addition of the cluster of antennas in the middle. And yeah, I'm going to mention what I don't like right now, and it's more evident in the next picture. But
maybe if you want to skip to that, just say your mind, Stuart, and we'll go from there.
Well, I don't like the engines. First of all, when you look at it from the top, I've seen multiple pictures of it, not just from certain angles. Like this one's angled a little bit, but they seem to almost point inwards near the back. It's just the way it looks with all the other angles. It might be an optical illusion, but I hate it. I'm very picky about my nacelles on my Enterprises. They have to be lined up straight from the side, and from the top they need to be the same distance, the front and the back. These I don't like. I prefer the original Alpha versions of the engines, which are a little bulkier and bigger. I preferred that look a lot. I preferred that look a lot more to this streamlined, kind of trailing off into space look. First of all, they don't really suit the era. And I don't like the way that they look compared with all the other angles on this ship, because it makes them look like they canter in a little bit, and I can't get on board with them. They need to be shorter, and because I think they're way too long, and they need to be a little bit more robust and thicker. So there you go.
Okay, I think certainly I've heard some comments obviously about the engines. That's quite a radical, to take a concept and then double the engine length. I mean, that's not only a stylistic thing. That says it's a functional thing. Which, I mean, in the trailer we hear the captain say we're developing a new sort of travel. So having
a new way to fly.
Having excessive. I mean, these are longer than. These are like Enterprise J proportion, engines. These are longer than the E. These are longer than any engine we've seen. I think and we'll do episodes comparing. But I think in terms of it's over half the length of the ship is the engines, and they go back a long way.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. That's what you don't like. Okay. A couple of things I noticed then. What else do I notice? Well, back to the top view though. They've kept some of the interesting details. They've removed the inner Franklin detail and now made it these 4 connecting points, which is somewhat odd. But I mean, 4 must follow function, especially the hero ship. I mean, look at Voyager. Its one form follows function is the nacelles. Look at the Enterprise E. Look at Enterprise D. Sorry, it separates. Look at the E. Faster warp. I don't know. You know, the form function. I would assume this is part of that as well. That it either splits, it can disconnect, it can whatever. It's something about that, but it's still got the interesting details added to the Alpha. Those grills on the top. There's 4 of them. The 2 ones near to the sort of NX references, either side of the bridge. You have got phaser, well, not necessarily phaser ball turrets, but visible phaser platforms, and a lot of them. 2, 4, 6, there's 6, each with 2, heavily armed. I think that's about the same as Excelsior had, or they had 1 more in the middle. So again, very heavily armed.
More in the middle, yeah.
Yeah, very, very, very heavily armed for the era. We can see the engines. We got a picture 3 in our lineup. The engines. This is the final idea of the engines with the 3 holes, which we hope are Bassards and hope will glow. That'd be a nice thing to add.
Yeah, I like the front of the engines. I got to specify that. It's just when they hit the strut where they go wrong for me.
Well, that's the thing. I'm looking at these 2 engines, and the bottom view, the entire engine is below the wing. I mean, that's what it looks like to me. It's an underslung nacelle.
Yeah.
If you look at the top view, it's connecting right at the top of that engine. So this isn't an engine that's midway. It's not up a bit. I mean, this is like it's an underslung. I see personally.
I'm going to disagree with you on that. From the top, it looks like they attach right in the middle of the nacelle. It's true that the picture from the underneath looks like they're more underslung, which actually would have been cool to have the struts come out and down, and then the engines. But I'm pretty sure it's connected right in the middle, judging by that top picture. You got to remember, this is concept art, so I mean, it just could be a trick of the eye or the lighting that they, I'm pretty sure that it's connected right in the middle of the nacelle.
Okay,
my opinion.
Yeah, I think this is again one of those. Yeah, concept art. Obviously, this isn't a 3D rendering. They might have changed it after the fact, but based on those, that front, the top and the bottom, I would say it's not middle. There is some. I mean, the bottom is, for me, is clearly it's maybe 30% is above the wing, 65 is below the wing, some variation. And the real image from the show, we can't tell. It could be either. So I think we'll have to wait to see. But it'd be interesting if it is something a bit more unique about that. Maybe.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to disagree with you on that, though. I think it's in the middle. Don't hit me.
I wouldn't dream of it. Yeah.
Whatever.
Anything else to notice? Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll talk about the nacelles for a second. But they're very, very long. I think. I mean, you got to remember though, the Excelsior also had excessively long nacelles. It was in proportion-ish. It felt way more. I think because it didn't taper. Again, there's things about them that it works actually really well.
Yeah.
That was the next step of warp drive. It failed, but it still led the way for more warp developments. So this could be, you could be saying each progressive push in the warp barrier scale needs bigger engines, more coils and something. Obviously, then you've got like the Enterprise, the Voyager, far fewer coils, far smaller engines, and yet is as fast as the D, if not faster. D also has small engines, but it's they're bigger engines because it's a bigger ship. The E obviously has a lot more coils. The consistency, the Defiant. I mean, the Defiant can go super fast. You don't need as many coils. So I don't know where I'm going with that exactly. As there isn't much consistency, but maybe it's the Excelsior route of it being longer.
You got to think too. This is 10 years before TOS. So I mean, the Constitution class, at the time of TOS, was the most advanced ship in the fleet.
It's 10 years old.
Especially engine-wise. Well, yeah, the Enterprise should be around at this point in the timeline.
Well, Spock's serving on the Enterprise, isn't he?
The engines will get retrofitted, I'm sure, but you can't say that these are the next advancement of warp nacelles, and we don't see anything else longer until like Excelsior.
Well,
era.
thing is, if this ship's also like 40 years old, 30 years old at the time, then these could have been the next advancement when it was new, and then it looks so different to Connie in terms of style, which, like I said, this takes place 1 year after Cage, so Spock's on the Enterprise. The Enterprise is the best set of ships in the fleet. This is obviously an older craft, or just a heavily different mission profile sort of craft, and looks so visually different. I mean, same fleet, sure, but if all this tech is, I like, that's why I kind of like the engines. That's why we like the engines originally. We can't make a big engine with one Bassard. You have to use multiple ones. In fact, this could be more advanced because it's got one single big one, two smaller secondary Bassards. But as a design, it seems very strange to have such a huge, poorly balanced ship. I mean, the J is also poorly balanced, but it works because it's pushing those boundaries. That is the point.
Yeah.
And in fact, stylistically, this is very similar to J. It's got those out-pushing pieces at a very harsh angle, very long nacelles. Obviously, the saucer has now been shrunk since the original version. That it now feels, it's a lot smaller. But it's not that top view is not a naturally beautiful view. It's not aesthetically right. The Connie, the scale is right. Everything fits in proportion. This does not do that. Not saying it's a bad thing, but
yeah, the bottom view is a much more attractive view. The bottom angle concept view in this is much more attractive than the top. I will agree with that. I don't know. Overall, I'm happy with the changes they've made, except for those engines. Before it was the whole package. I kind of liked the whole ship, and I know a lot of people hated it, and I really don't care because I liked it. I thought it was great, and it shouldn't have really been changed too much. I like the bulkier engines, the shorter engines. This just seems silly to me. I mean, it'll probably grow on me, but I prefer the first one. Maybe just because I've seen it for a year now.
Yeah.
I've talked about it so much that, but as soon as I saw it on screen in that trailer, I loved it, and everybody's like, "Oh, I hate it," and it's like, "Ugh."
Yeah, so much vitriol. I mean, come on, guys. It's a Warp Delta plus NX-01, and it exists. I mean, that shape. There's Wealth of Crows in 2 different episodes of Star Trek. These shapes exist in Star Trek. Yes, you can say it's aesthetically you don't like it, or boo, the saucer has cutouts, but those are functional things. There's a reason behind that. They didn't put in random holes for no reason. I guess the Vengeance, there's a hole for no reason. Doesn't play any part in the story. That is kind of random, but it's also much more minimal hole, sort of. I guess. I wish that had a functional purpose.
I'm sure it does. We just maybe don't know about it.
Well, yeah, but you design it for a reason. It's like even the nacelles, they close up. There's like things. I think they close up near the. Anyway, that's a different movie. Yeah, so it's an interesting one. We've sort of seen it in motion. Very sort of faithful warp drive, just for 40 years wrong, 40 years too advanced.
Yeah.
Unless to be fair, you could double retcon saying that the TOS warp looks like that, NX just doesn't. But then we see in the Constitution class go at the exact same warp style as the Connie did and the NX-01 did because he's sitting together. Yeah, there's so much of this history of Star Trek. I wish they kept it more consistent, but they keep saying they've got these people tracking it down and keeping it consistent. So it's a visual reboot with new elements and new tech, showing new things, and this is definitely a Star Trek ship. Not necessarily era appropriate, but I'd love to see it in motion, and hopefully we can show it off soon on Trekyards. I'm excited because we get very few angles of the ship. We get enough to know what it looks like and know how it feels like. But guess what? You put it in warp, you put it in motion, you put it in because I love that side view of the original version. It's a beautiful side profile, glorious angles, even with the bulk. Really, really nice. So I'm interested to see what this ship looks best at. I mean, the Enterprise D doesn't look good for every angle. I think it kind of does, but I'm used to it. Like, it was there when I was born.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it is just a ship in the fleet. It looks like it should look. But, a lot of people hate it from some angles. It's not the best from certain angles, obviously, but I think most of them are fine. Be interesting to see where this ship really, really thrives. And I think, guys, there's form follows function. There's a reason why the Klingons look so strange. There's a reason why the Federation uniforms are different. That's just probably they're old. There's a reason why these this saucer is split into 3 distinct zones: outer, inner, and bridge. I think there'll be a reason for that. Beyond just, I can see your best friends over in Saucer 2. You can wave and you can you can phone them and talk and I don't know. But yeah, there you go.
Yeah. So overall, I think we like the changes that were made.
They're interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. I did think they dropped the ball a bit on the nacelles.
I think there'll be a reason. The fact that we don't start with the
sure there
Discovery,
is, yeah.
the fact that we start with the Shinzo, and then get to the Discovery, I think that'd be really interesting. That little, yeah. And if that shuttle bay, I mean, look at the top view. That entire back piece of the shuttle bay is one big door.
Mm-hmm.
At least it looks like it is. If that entire top bit of the bridge is one, then the shuttle bay is like 3 bridges wide. You can probably fit a shuttle and a half in a bridge. So this is gonna be a big shuttle bay. If it's like even half that secondary hull is one big hangar deck, this is gonna have a lot of shuttle capacity compared to TOS anyway. I guess not Kelvin, but that was ridiculous from the start. So yeah, there you go. I'm done. Sorry.
Yeah, I think I am too. Looking forward to your thoughts, though, guys.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've heard we've done a lot of videos on the Discovery, our take on it and how it fits into canon, how it doesn't, and on the Alpha version anyway. And looking forward to your thoughts. A lot of people out there hate it. A lot of people love it. A lot of people it's grown on them over time.
Absolutely. And I think we've held them appreciate it with our episodes and our look at and our animation I did, seeing it actually in motion as opposed to just coming out of space dock. Didn't really show it at any of its good angles even.
Yeah. So yeah, looking forward to your thoughts. Has it grown on you? What do you think of the nacelles? Do they look like they angle into you? Maybe it's just me and I'm crazy, but anyway, guys, looking forward to your thoughts. So we got a lot more Discovery stuff, videos, releases coming out because there's a whole bunch of stuff that released at San Diego Comic-Con, and we want to look at it all because we love talking about it and we love sharing it with you guys and kind of, suggesting things that you might not have thought of. So check out the other videos as well. So anyways, until next time, guys, he's Commander Calkins.
And he is Captain Foley. Didn't phase me there. Ha.
Anyway, bye everybody.
Bye guys.